Something that I really love about SEO is that it does kind of always transform, but the main root of it hasn't. You do still need a strong foundation because Google's not going to look at you if you don't have these basic things, if it doesn't know what your website is about, if no one else thinks that you're important. Those are things that are never going to change. That's how it became the giant search engine that it is today. However, how you get there has changed so much from the beginning days of SEO when it was just so easy to spam a website with keywords, and then Google found out how to adapt to that, and then it wouldn't give you any rankings. And so you've always had to kind of think on your toes. So this new shift towards AI is both a brand new venture that we've never seen before, but also not something we're not used to seeing. Everything's changing now, and you've always kind of learned how to adapt with SEO.
SEO has both not changed at all, but changed very rapidly with the whole introduction of AI into everything. So a lot of times we're still doing some of the same things just when we're looking at what we can do, but we definitely want to keep our eyeballs on the AI piece.
All right. Hey, this is Reed Wyckoff. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Digible, and this is another episode of Riffing with Reed, where we go a little bit deeper on a variety of topics. But what we've decided to kind of kick things off with has been really our own universe, meaning digital services and technology here in multifamily. And so as such, we've been bringing on a few different members, thought leaders here at Digible to share their point of view and expertise in some of the subsets, I'll say, of digital services. And so not too long ago, I had Bailey Trivithick. I think I got that right. She's probably going to drop a comment if I didn't. About SEO, and we were kind of broad, I'll say, went to some different buckets, and definitely I think there were some nice nuggets there. But today, as a follow-up to that, we thought it'd be interesting to go a little bit deeper and more specifically in that term that nobody seems to have heard of or written about, AI. Hopefully, we know what that stands for by now. But have two of Digible's best here from that world, Rachel Jackson, Tammy Kohler, Smith Kohler. And they've been with Digible for a few years. I'll let them provide a little bit more of their backgrounds, but super excited to have them on the show and really get into kind of a current state of where things are with AI and SEO and geo search. But then they're going to be bold and courageous, I'm sure, and give us a little bit more of their forecasts on the topic, as well as some very pointed questions on the ins and outs of what's going on in that space. So welcome to the show, Tammy, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Tammy, I think you've been on before. First time. Okay.
I've
well,
done other
welcome.
things. I've done like a webinar. I've done a
Okay.
live webinar, things like that. But no.
Yeah,
first time on
somehow
the podcast.
avoided this for the last few years. Kudos to you. But why don't you tell us just a little bit more about your background and what you do here at Digible, and then we'll pass it over to Rachel, and then we'll jump in.
Sounds great. So I'm Tammy Smith. I have been doing digital marketing since 2008, SEO specific since 2010, and I've been at Digible since 2020. And I started as an SEO strategist, and then I became manager about 3 years ago. So that's me in a nutshell.
If I wasn't, I need to be a little close to the switchboard, I would have given you the applause on being here since 2020. But we are so grateful that you have been with us that long, and you've been just a tremendous addition to Digible and such a great leader on that team. So
It's been
just
fantastic.
public thank you. Lots of gratitude.
Thank you guys. Love being here. I can't believe I found this job. So I'm
Well,
loving it.
we can't believe we found you. So feelings mutual. Rachel, take it away.
I can back that up. Tammy has been amazing my entire time that I've been here. My name is Rachel. I am an SEO strategist. I've been with Digible for 2 years, 3 years in June. Time flies, really. I come from a background in local SEO. I've been doing SEO for about 7 years now, and I just fell in love with it from the minute that I started figuring out how to do it on websites. And AI has been a new sort of fascination and love in that same vein, where I just started really diving into it and learning more about LLMs and ChatGPT and the search generative experience. And it's just been kind of a fun passion of mine. So.
That's
Yes.
awesome. And
Definitely changed things.
Yeah.
yes, recently married. So
Yes.
was I wrong to say Jackson? Have you taken the,
No.
or do you have you're
I'm-
keeping Jackson?
I'm keeping Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
All right.
strong family name.
It
yeah.
is a strong family name.
Yeah, he does have a great last name, but I like mine. I've been Miss Jackson for my entire life, so.
Yeah. Well, don't hold back on us. You just said he's got a great last name, so.
Landini.
Oh wow, that
It
is
a really good
special.
last name.
Yeah.
Thought about hyphenating
It's not much
it.
that rhymes with Lamborghini, but
I know.
Landini's
Landini.
close.
That is his nickname. His buddies do call him Lambo sometimes, which is also a pretty cool nickname. So,
No doubt.
yeah. I mean, you can't call somebody Fonzie Lambo. That's too cool. That's too much coolness. You got to dial it back. Yeah.
Oh man, I love it. I can't wait to meet him now. I will definitely start with Lambo.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of different places we could dive in, and let me just, I'm going to remind myself and both of you, not all these acronyms are nomenclature or common for our listeners.
Yeah.
You already went there with LLM. So I just
Yeah.
encourage you as we dive into this to spell out those acronyms just for orientation so that all levels of listeners can keep up. And so very quickly, LLM.
Large
There's
language.
two of them.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Two of them in our universe.
Okay, so-
Good.
Large language model for AI.
And then local listing management also. So
Yes.
we have to usually clarify which LLM
Yeah.
we're talking
Yep.
about.
SEO versus GEO.
Is there an A and a B?
Well, in AI, it's always going to be large language model.
Okay.
And then we might slip into local listings, and then we should just call those local listings.
Yeah.
And would you therefore fair to say LLM is under the umbrella of SEO? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume, just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Okay. So maybe the best place to start, and feel free to tag team, but is kind of the lay of the land, current state, when people are talking about SEO, or maybe when you're talking to our clients about it. How do you try to help them orient with kind of where things are today before you get sucked into the conversations about where it's headed or how have things changed from the past? Just give us a little bit present state flavor between the two. Tammy, do you want to start?
Yeah, good question. So generally, SEO has both not changed at all, but changed very rapidly with the whole introduction of AI into everything. So a lot of times we're still doing some of the same things, just focused differently when we're looking at what we can do, but we definitely want to keep our eyeballs on the AI piece. So generally I'm saying, usually you want to know where you're at. You don't want to divorce yourself from the main SEO pieces. You still want to know what you're doing there, and then add in the AI piece and see how you're doing with all of those things put together. I don't want to start throwing out any more acronyms. But
When you say there's the kind of, I don't know if X's and O's is the right way of putting it, is still there or still important. Like, what would you describe that as? So when it's like, here's your foundation when it comes to SEO, and yes, AI, there's all sorts of exciting opportunities. And again, that's why you're on the show to talk about that. But what would you describe as kind of the foundational pieces today of SEO?
yeah, great question. So generally you want your technical piece to be solid. You're not going to rank for many things if you don't have, if you have an icky website, right? A really bad website. I don't know if I can use bad language, but
Feel free.
All right.
My daughters have called me out a couple times. I think the very, very first episode, they were like, "Did you say F?" Like, it wasn't just the S word; it was the F word. And I was like, and they were like, "On Spotify?" And I was like, "Okay, let me need a little education here." But anyways, yes, feel free to curse.
So great. So fundamentals. You don't want to have a shitty website because you're not going to rank. Your content's not going to rank. It's really bad user experience. People are going to flee. So you want to make sure you have those foundational pieces. You want some content. We'll talk more about content and how it relates to AI later, but you need that, just the simple things. You need to be mentioned. So you want to have mentions, backlinks, things pointing to you. All of that still hasn't changed. You still want that stuff.
Cool. And how would you round that out as far as giving us a current state?
I think something that I really love about SEO is that it has, like you said, like it does kind of always transform, but the main root of it hasn't. So that's something, like you were saying, like you do still need a strong foundation, because Google's not going to look at you if you don't have these basic things, if it doesn't know what your website is about, if no one else thinks that you're important. Those are things that are never going to change. That's how it became the giant search engine that it is today. However, how you get there has changed so much from the beginning days of SEO, when it was just so easy to spam a website with keywords, and then Google found out how to adapt to that, and then it wouldn't give you any rankings. And so you've always had to kind of think on your toes. So this new shift towards AI is both a brand new venture that we've never seen before, but also not something we're not used to seeing. Everything's changing now. So you learn how to adapt, and you've always kind of learned how to adapt with SEO. So
it's
AI.
the puzzle. You got to figure out that
Exactly.
puzzle.
That's what makes it so fun. It's a riddle constantly. It's super frustrating, but also really fun when you actually crack it open and you kind of get to see where it goes next, and it's never a dull moment. And now, I mean, there's really no going back with AI. It is part of all of our lives now. Even if you love it or don't, you are still playing the game, even if you don't want to. Yeah. So it's more about how can you continue forward with this really strong base foundation, and then also take this new element of AI that is just a new way of searching, and then also make that really strong, and then using those both together so that you're still showing up classically, and then you're showing up in this new way that is just the future of how people are searching in more conversational ways.
Cool.
Yeah. So you want to be there. You want to be in maps. You want to be like 10 blue links, definitely want to be there. But then the AI piece, it's all at the top, and it might supersede everything. So you want to be everywhere.
Well, let me just unpack a little bit more on the foundation before we move towards more of the AI, the geo, the AEO topic, which is, I think, a lot of our clients and non-Digible clients have certain assumptions about the value of what you're describing, like kind of the core SEO. And I'm just going to say it, not as much value as we might put on it. Maybe don't recognize, and fair or not, it still in many cases seems like a check the box. And often the box is checked by their website provider or their property management system that is, I don't want to say masquerading as a website provider, but there's a lot of different, I mean, it's probably the most saturated space in the industry within digital marketing, our websites. Right. Yeah. And so I think too often, unfortunately, SEO is assumed to come with it, and that it's like, oh, it's covered. Can you talk just a little bit more about like what is typically covered, not covered, but what's important if you are like thinking, how can I check this box and know that that's in place? Because you just started to get to it, Tammy, as far as, but you were talking, I think, offsite when you were talking about map views, Google Business Profile. But if somebody were to come to you and say, what do I need to make sure I have in place before I can move on and start experimenting and exploring with some of this new cool stuff?
Yeah, good question. So the fundamentals on the website, so your meta tags, right, those need to be there. And I've seen them templated when they come over from site builders. So site builders are like, okay, we templated it. You have that covered. You're good. We've interlinked your pages. You're good. But we look at it and we're saying, are we using the right keywords? Have we used the right keyword placement? You want your most important keyword to the left of your title tag. Are we doing linking to the most important pages high enough on the page to show the importance of that? So just the little things that can get you farther ahead that we're looking at that maybe a template's not going to look at. Right. So,
and I think another big one too is just content. Content is always going to be so important, and it's important for traditional SEO because you really need to both be speaking to your audience and also to the crawler. You need to tell them that I have information that is useful for searchers, and it needs to be useful for them to read, but it also, we need to know that it's got these terms that people are searching for. There's a lot of, like, this seems like it's written by an expert, like this person knows what they're talking about.
Expertise,
and
trustworthiness.
We want to have a lot of this. So you can't just, type a bunch of keywords in and expect that to rank, but you need to have this good, strong, authoritative content on your website on multiple pages so that when both the traditional Google crawlers, goes through and looks at it, it determines that it's expert content and this is worth delivering. But also, again, not to jump ahead again, but with the new generative search experience and these large language models, LLMs, when the like ChatGPTs of the world come in and look at the website, they're also looking for that really strong content. So it kind of bridges the gap where you need that strong foundation to both keep you strong here and then also propel you forward.
Yeah, it needs to be there because they're going to pull the snippets from that content to show up in those AI searches.
And what's a snippet?
Just a little piece of content that you have on your website that makes you the answer answer to that search that happened.
Got it. So playing that back really quick, authoritative content, making sure things like meta titles, meta tags are properly in order, I'll just say, simplifying it, that you have a smart keyword. Sorry?
ADA is important too. So
ADA, that's compliance. What does that stand for?
Americans with Disabilities
Act.
Yeah.
All right. Put you on tilt here, Tammy. And you said keyword strategy. So all that sounded most pointed at on-site. We'll wrap this up with just any off-site. It's like, again, if you're thinking, what is the fundamentals here that I need to have in place before I start exploring with, this AEO and AI stuff? What about offsite? Quick hits, what's critical?
Huge, robust Google Business Profile, totally optimized, lots of information, lots of images, answers.
Fair to say the new front door has been for some years now.
I mean, it has been for a while because that's how you show up on page one. We all know that apartment ILSs are taking up the first page, so maps can get you there, but it needs to be strong. It needs to answer a lot of the questions too.
Absolutely.
Anything to add, Rachel?
Fully filled out, just having more of your citations, being present in other places besides just Google and on your website. So beyond just your Google Business Profile and your website, those two are the two strongest, but the more places you can show up on your socials, showing up in local directories, that makes a much stronger case because again, if other websites are pointing to you, then that improves your legitimacy.
Awesome. All right. So we'll move past the 101 stuff. I appreciate you guys indulging me and sharing with our listeners. Now let's get into the new generation here. So generative engine optimization, answer engine optimization. Let's start with these two and how they differ from traditional SEO. So don't know who wants to start first. Let's give Rachel a shot to lead into this one. I don't know if you want to take one or the other or just set Tammy up, but Geo and AEO, what's the difference?
So they're kind of related and they're very similar, and you may hear people using them interchangeably. But when it gets down to it, going back to what SEO is kind of the classic. We want to find a result on the organic page, so you want to scroll through different websites, and it's how we've searched traditionally, and people still use quite a lot. So AEO, answer engine optimization, that is when you want to optimize some content so that you get a quick answer for something. So that is where, you want to ask Google a quick question, like, does this apartment complex have a pool? And then the answer is going to be quick and snappy. It'll be right there at the top, and it says, yes, this apartment has a pool, and it'll give you any other features about that. It'll show you a picture of it, and it'll give you a link. And most of the time we call that the zero position search. So that's above all the other organic listings and paid. It's right up at the top, and it answers a question. So GEO, which is generative engine optimization, uses that same area that's above all the other organic results and also using ChatGPT, and it's more conversational. And this is really important to have because this is how search is evolving. People aren't really typing in keywords into Google the way they used to. They're asking it questions conversationally. So when you have these searches, you have an opportunity to get someone who's a little bit further down the funnel, who's further along in their decision-making process, because you would ask it, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom apartment that has a rooftop pool and a dog park and a 24-hour fitness center. That is a person that knows what they want, and they want to have a conversation. And then this is when ChatGPT, for example, would start serving up these results like your website. And that's why it is so important, because the likelihood of that person going in and exploring your website is so much higher because you've just checked all of their boxes and they want to go in and find more. And that's one thing that AI is never going to replace, is the actual clicking through of a website and going and looking at pictures and seeing the other amenities and, getting in and really exploring there. It's just getting you there a lot faster without being tied to the first, second, or third position on Google.
Yeah, and it'll serve up different visuals too. So if you've got video, it's going to serve that up as well. So you're going to show up in that answer. It's like, hey, this video is also going to answer that question for you. So Images too can help. Your social media, somebody might have asked a question and you might have answered there, and it'll serve that in too. So it can be everywhere, and it's wonderful. And I love the conversational piece too, like having that conversation. You can continue asking beyond that. It's like, okay, well, the dog park is there. So what kind of pet policy can you have breeds over 55 pounds? And then it'll continue looking at that and answer questions knowing what you've already asked. So
any benefit to, I'll call it some repetition or even redundancy of, for example, we just had mentioned the Google business profile, and we know that there's the FAQs, if you will. So common questions about the property, and having content answering that specifically, as you were saying, Rachel, and also on the website, as well as, let's say, in your directory listings. So, because there's some point, and I'm not going to try and tell you which year it was or stretch, where that was not necessarily frowned upon, but be careful with repetitive. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, has this changed your thinking or approach there, or would you say, in answering that question, that's more specific, they have 3 or 4 things, they're further down in the funnel, that you'd put on your website, but then wouldn't repeat that on your Google business profile or in a directory listing. So has this changed anything relative to duplicate content?
I think so. I personally would want it on both places depending on how the person found you. So maybe it would pull in from your website, but you also want people who just go to Maps and you search on Maps to have that question answered there too. So I don't think unless you're answering it different in all the places, that would be bad for you. You want to make sure that you're consistent with your answers and maybe not necessarily copy paste the exact same reply, but you want it to be the same. You want it to be consistent. It's going to support that answer across the board.
Got it. Great tip.
And I think that FAQ content is especially unique in that sense where these are actual questions that need to be answered. So it's not like you're spamming with the same information over and over again. Like you just want these things to be, these are the most important things.
Because people are going to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to be answering those questions, helping them answer those questions.
And it's also great for AEO because then you have those like easy to pull, the search engine can find, someone asks a direct question, and then if you can have that question already answered, the crawler absolutely loves that, and it wants to serve that as is. It wants to take it and give that to
it's like, oh, look, it's been answered, and this is an authoritative answer. We're going to serve this up. It's the actual property, and they're probably the best, and they know the best. We're going to put that answer in the search results.
So can you put any numbers for our listeners just around how much and I don't know if this is even the right way to pose this, but generative engine optimization, and the AEO, in comparison to, I don't know whether I should say kind of legacy search, but I think a lot of people are now seeing this almost every time they search. Is it fair to say like we're already in the 80-90% of all searches are generating this answer engine optimization, or is the data not there yet? Is it too raw for us to have a better handle on this? And my follow-up to this is going to be around ChatGPT, and I don't know if I can connect these, but lots of people are wondering how many people are actually on that, what's the most up-to-date, and for apartments even more specifically, is it critical that we're not just on Google, but that we're now finding ways, of course, ChatGPT is crawling Google and a million other things. But anyways, just looking for any kind of numbers perspective on this transition, as far as how things are being searched.
Cool. I read an article today. I don't know if it's going to answer our question fully, but it does give us some numbers. So it said that 1 out of every 4 questions is informational. So that you're asking the engine, I need some information about whatever, and they're expecting an answer. And that 70% of those, I looked it up, to be completely honest, I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to look it back up.
Oh, yeah,
again.
We'll hold you to it, Tammy.
But, so 1 out of 24, or 1 out of 4, 1 out of 4 of the uses on ChatGPT specifically were informational seeking, and they're not work related. So they're not talking about how do I do my job, right? So they're asking like the dog park question, and that they're seeking some answer to a question, and that non-work usage surpassed. Right now, it's surpassed by 70% of those queries. So somebody not trying to figure out how they're doing their job or how to do their job better are just asking about something, 70%, and that's up 14% from last year.
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
That's
And
significant.
That's
it
a
is.
lot. Yeah.
And that's the thing is that it's changing so rapidly because we're adopting it so quickly. It's exponential growth. So I don't know what the number will be by the time this podcast airs, but recently read a statistic about how I think ChatGPT makes up about 8% of all searches using the ChatGPT engine, which is not nothing. It's
That's double what I heard.
know,
Honestly, a year ago, I heard it's
Yeah.
4%. So,
I feel
yeah.
like
And
I
it's-
use it way more than that.
right,
Yeah,
exactly. As
yeah.
people are adopting it more, because we are sort of out of that early adoption phase, and we are. I mean, I would say even fully into, if not past the first wave phase. It's become household name. It's more likely that someone that has used it than isn't. You probably, instead of having one friend that is using ChatGPT and telling everyone to use it, now you have one friend that
That
is
doesn't.
refusing to use it. Yeah, just trying to hold out, and we're kind of in
probably
that
my
wave
husband.
right now.
Yep.
It's very similar to the original rise of the internet, which I think is fascinating, but it's going faster. So
Well, before we move to content production, right now we're still, I think, on the journey or the new kind of experience for, in our case, renters. We're being more specific here. Anything else related to that journey that you think is really important to call out before we talk about maybe some of the strategies we're recommending, mechanisms that you can take advantage of the LLM, meaning large language library, not listing management. But yeah, just as it relates to the new journey of renters in this era, in this transition. Anything else that
We were talking about that
want to highlight?
just before here. We were talking about how content, so websites, right? Back to the website thing. They are created in a sort of a template manner, right? Across the board, we see you can get a specific website from a provider and it's templated, and that they aren't necessarily building those for content. And you need content to rank really well. And so we'll write content sometimes that is 500 words about, and then it doesn't fit. And so they won't use it. And it's like, but you need the content.
Yeah.
So trying to understand, like, website builders, please understand that you need space for content, and it's answering those questions. That's why you need it there. It's not frivolous words. We're not stuffing keywords everywhere. We're answering questions for people. We're trying to show what might answer the user's question to get people on that page.
And there are so many more questions now because it's evolved beyond just typing a question into Google that's around keywords, because it used to just be so focused around keywords, and we were trying to predict like what are the most common questions that are asked, and we would go in and we try to kind of write content around those. But now there's any question that you can ask and you can get an answer from ChatGPT, from SGE, from Google's search generative experience. We now need to really focus more on content that answers a lot of questions while still having that traditional SEO. Like, we know people are searching for this keyword, right? We know that this is important. This is how many times this is going into Google. How can we answer a million questions about this one keyword? And the answer is tactfully. We need to be smart about it, but we also, we need the most amount of content that we can to do that, because if you don't tell Google what your website is about, it's never going to infer anything. Like, you can have a really awesome looking website, and I've seen some really cool ones. There are some really, really cool apartment websites, and they're sleek and they're beautiful. And they have parallax, and I love them. I love them visually, but content wise, there isn't a lot on there, and it's sort of designed to, there's nowhere really for the content to fit. And while it looks amazing, not as many people are seeing it because Google is like, what is this website about? I see pictures.
And the users aren't getting information from there too.
And that's kind of the biggest thing that I want to stress, is that it does need to be for the users. The content needs to be for people to read it. It needs to be readable, but also you really are telling Google and now ChatGPT and future AI why they should care about your website. And that is how you get success.
So let's talk data for a second. On the user behavior or search behavior, how reliable is it? How robust is it when it comes to the reporting on AI overviews and the generative search? So if I were a client and said, hey, I have a lease up in Atlanta, and I'm curious, can you tell me more about how many people are using ChatGPT, or how many AI overview, I guess responses, not questions,
Yeah.
are popping up because what may be familiar to some, but probably not most, listening to this as things like Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz. There's a million tools, BI tools that have been built for SEO. I don't know how far along they are in this realm now, as it's coming and coming fast. But I would imagine more questions are going to be coming up from clients trying to get a better handle on the actual numbers.
Yeah.
So can you comment on what's available right now when it comes to reporting platforms, and do you expect it to be rapidly evolving over the next year or two?
Yeah, it's in its infancy stage. I would say that reporting tools are just now coming online with the information we've been asking for. So AI comes out, we're chatting all of our tools like, hey, how do we report on this? I don't see anything. And they're like, we're working on it. And it took forever for them to roll something out. And then
Does that surprise you, Tammy?
It did. Do
you think they should have been more prepared or equipped to make this transition?
This is me talking and not knowing what it takes to build this necessarily. But I was really surprised that we didn't have anything right out the gate. Like, all right, we knew this was coming, especially the bigger firms. I'm not going to call anyone out by name, but the bigger tools knew this was coming. Like we all did, because we're like, oh, waiting for it. I want to see what it looks like. When does it roll out? It comes out and it's like, oh, are we in there? I don't know. We can throw a dart and say maybe we're in there, but now we're starting to see it a little bit. And how accurate it is can only depend on how many more tools would have that, so that we can compare and we can see.
Cross-reference,
But right now, I'm glad that we have something. We have some reporting now, which is nice.
I think it's so funny because it is, we were using a very big, very popular one. I won't name shame, but, and it was kind of surprising that they were really dragging their feet on it. And you would think that being so big, they would be, before we even learned about ChatGPT, they'd be like in there and trying to work on something sort of ahead of the curve.
I know people are going to ask for this.
But it's just so funny thinking about how monopolies work, about how if you don't have any real competition, you're not really inspired to move on these and innovate. And then a lot of there are some smaller tools where we've seen that have been popping up like immediately. They were like, we've got AI testing. How good is it? We're not sure. Again, it's that first wave where we're not just going to jump on the first one that does it, but seeing all of that and then finding that new tool that is extremely robust, that has the AI already, like before anything. And they came in, and that was kind of something they were advertising, was we have this really robust platform. We also were ahead of the curve in following this AI because we knew that we had to keep up with the giants. And I really, really enjoy it. So
So playing that back, still nascent, early stages. I didn't hear optimism scale of 1 to 10. How much further along will be a year from now?
No, I think it'll probably explode. Like now people are putting stuff out. The ones that have really good staying power will stay and they'll get better. And the other ones are going to kind of either fall off or try to figure out how to become better.
And what would that reporting look like? Just as an example, like for us, Digible, we're on a call with a client and they want to get some data or some reporting on AEO and GEO.
Yeah.
What might that look like?
There's two ways that we can look at it. We can do the traditional keywords that we look at for search engines. So the SERPs, are we in the SERPs for these keywords? We can look at that, but I don't think it tells the right story necessarily. So they also have a way for you to look at what are you showing up for. It's not, hey, I'm typing in this keyword I want to know, or phrase, and I want to know where I'm at, but it's showing you, here's the questions that you've been showing up for, and it's grabbing from some of your content, could be grabbing from your GPP, your social media, and it's like, oh, I didn't even know people cared about that question. Well, now I should write a page on that, or I should put that into my FAQs. I should do a video. I should do something with that. Yeah.
Fair to assume conversion rates are going to be far better on these types of searches than they would prior. Yeah. I mean, that's a very general question, but
bigger intent for sure. So I think so, yes.
It seems like they're going to be, or at least feel more personalized, more custom, therefore more likely to convert.
Yeah.
Fair?
I think so.
Yeah. I did just read an article with the CEO of Graphite, or listen to a podcast. The CEO of Graphite was saying exactly that. He was running tests on it, and it was just their conversion rate exploded, even though it was, again, only accounting for a small amount of their traffic. They said almost everyone converted when they came from ChatGPT because they were optimizing for the correct kind of things, for showing up and writing content around that and learning from that as well, which is another big thing is as this data comes in, how are we learning and how are we setting that up so that we're answering future questions that aren't asked yet.
Yeah. So what about the type of content? Rachel, I'll start with you. You've been saying, authoritative content, a lot more content to make sure you're taking advantage of all these new and more specific questions. I'm for whatever reason just thinking about lots of I don't know if blogs, but just lots of copy. And again, thinking years back, it was all about video for SEO. It's like you've got to have more and more video. Photos, I guess, is somewhere in between. But any comments, thoughts on the type of content? I'm sure you wouldn't say let go of any one of those, but with the new search habits, as well as the opportunity through LLMs and other platforms to create all types of content, any best practices or suggestions when it's like, hey, you should have this balance, or not?
Absolutely. It's something that we've sort of been incorporating more into our SEO optimizations, but really formatting the content is a really big and easy win for this. So you want to kind of format your content around how can I answer this question? Because again, if you want to think about ChatGPT, it works very hard, but it's a little lazy. It wants to, if someone asks a question, it wants to find this question perfectly answered in a little snack, like a little bullet point, or, a listicle is still always going to be really important for content. It just changes the format. So really formatting your content so that it's easy to read, it's easy to kind of pick up on these little things to get you in that AEO so that it shows up at the top there. And then when people have further questions, you have more of this content snack, if you will, so that the GEO section, when it gets more conversational, it can go through and it says, oh, well, you have more questions about this. Here are more quick facts for you. And I found this information. So really, it's not even always about overhauling all of your content on your website. If you have good content already, it's more about just how can I get in there, and instead of just how can I get as many keywords as I possibly can to cast a wide net, it's how can I really optimize this for intent? Like, how can I mention maybe more amenities, and like, here are the amenities that set me apart, but also making sure, like, I'm going to mention that I have a pool at this place and we've got sun deck with chairs, but also we've got a golf simulator. It's something that makes it both, how are these optimized for things people are looking for, but also that's really cool that you guys have an indoor golf simulator. I didn't think I wanted that, but I wanted to learn more about
now
that.
that I know,
Exactly.
Where has it been all my life?
Exactly. And it just more, go ahead.
Sorry. Very specifically now, video. Would you say important to double down on that on your website, or would you say when it comes to video, think more video platforms? That should be more your strategy. And I'm trying to tuck this all under just content and how to be thinking about it right now with the changes that are happening. But Insta, Meta, YouTube, TikTok, it's like, hey, build a lot of video, but put it on those video platforms. Or would you say you should also dump them on your website? And I do wonder about the experience of like too much video, as funny as that sounds. But if I'm going to look for an apartment and it's just one thumbnail after another, it just doesn't seem like that's exactly what somebody would be looking for. So just any specific thoughts or suggestions related to a video strategy underneath the umbrella of content?
This is a great question, because I firmly believe that we need more blogs in the multifamily and single family rental world to tell you more about, like, what's it like to live here, because you want that experience. It's something that social does for us. It helps us envision what it'll be like when I move in and I live at this community. But the video is really going to draw you in. It's going to show you the specific apartment. It's going to show you that specific amenity, what it looks like. And then you can judge, oh, I was hoping that closet was just a little bit bigger, or maybe this one is way better than the 3 I've already toured. We have to go look at this in person, right? So I think video plays a big part, but you're right. It's going to slow the website down if you just have a giant page with a ton of videos on it. Somebody might care and want to do that, but not everybody will. They're looking for a specific, probably, answer to a question in a video. So you want that more in the blogs that you were talking about, like an informational location that's talking about that specifically. So I'm thinking, like, renter guides. Like, how am I going to get into this apartment? Here's like a checklist that you need. Here's some videos of what we've got. Here's what your tour is going to look like. Things like that. And then specific amenities. You can go through that location, like what's it like to live in this neighborhood. So no longer is it just the city of Denver, but now we're looking at, you know, a tinier little, like I'm looking for Green Mountain instead of just Denver proper, or I'm looking for Cherry Creek. You know, you're looking, what is that neighborhood like? I want to know what kind of stores you have. I want to know where can I take my dog? Like what kind of dog amenities do they have in that location? I take my dog everywhere. So we need, you know, bars that have a patio that let me bring my dog, restaurants that, you know, are dog friendly, things like that. So we've got lots of opportunities for content there.
And FAQ video also. Like I am the queen of FAQ. I absolutely love it. But it's cool, like 5 things you need to know. Like you need to have renter's insurance. Here's the pet policy. Just something that is just a quick little bite of content that's easy to watch, that can also be grabbed, that can also answer a question. And I love short video. But I also think that while it is important to have it on the website, I think you should have both to some extent, but I do think that having a stronger YouTube, Instagram, TikTok following, that again gives you a more robust search presence overall, which is good for general SEO and also for GEO and AEO as well.
It helps raise the website up too.
Exactly, yeah. It's your if your presence is bigger, you're more likely to be found by more sources. And with Google, that was, with traditional SEO, that was more of a, okay, like you obviously show up in a lot of places, let's rank you a little bit higher. And with GEO now, it's like, oh, I found this video, and then I found this little snippet of content, and I found their Instagram, and I found this answer, and then here are 3 links, and then here's the answer to your question. So it's more immediate. And I think it's more important than ever to have something more than just text related to your brand.
Yeah.
Ooh, but the elephant in the room that we haven't talked about is how do we get that content to show up in those answers? And it's all about schema. So crafting the right schema. So you have FAQ schema, you've got video schema,
Got product schema.
schema.
So very quickly, Tammy, before we get over a couple of these people's heads, schema. How would you just simply digestible definition of schema?
It is microdata that is telling the search engine exactly what you're talking about. So it's like, here is an entity. This entity is an apartment. It is a 3-bedroom apartment. It's a 3-bedroom apartment with hardwood floors. It's a 3-bedroom apartment with hardwood floors. And now I'm running out of things to add to it.
No, that's great. And you'd say that's one of the areas that often, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but maybe overlooked or not well done, like on some of the native like platforms and whatnot. I'm just trying to flesh out like where is some of the work you both are consistently seeing or doing, or opportunities, and is schema one of them?
It is.
Absolutely.
So local business schema is something that
So
we put on
important.
websites all the time, so you know exactly where they're at. So locality, this pinpoint area right here. But then you can schema questions. So here's the question, here's the answer, so that the AEOs will know I'm going to pull that and I'm going to grab that and plop that in. Like, I know this is an answer to a question. Boom, done.
Yeah.
So not as simple as just create a lot of great content. You really got to be thinking about the schema and how, how you mark that up.
It's great because it's, you know, it's written in JSON code. So, you know, it looks very confusing, but it's really just talking to a search engine directly. You're basically just giving it, because usually when a search engine crawls your website, it's looking for, okay, what are the most important details? What's the name? What's the address? What's the phone number? And here it is like, this is the name. This is the address. This is, so it doesn't have to crawl through and look for anything. So it really helps, again, Google understand what your website is about. So it's a big complement to your content, and it gives all of the most important information. And you can actually visualize schema. My favorite example is if you're looking at a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. When you type that into Google and you say, I'm going to recipe for chocolate chip cookies, and the very first results that you're going to see are those little cards, and they'll have a picture of the cookie, and they will have recipe time, 50 minutes, 4.6 stars, 2,000 reviews. That is schema at work. You have given your website all of that information and asked how many, what is the star count? You know, what is the image that represents this? That is visualizing schema. And not all of it shows up on the search engine results page like that. But when you do give it that, it's easy for it to just pop it on there. And we see schema evolving so much. Like already it comes and goes with what it displays on the SERP or the search engine results page. So it's always good to just have it and make it as robust as possible.
Yeah.
Are there tools that just automate kind of the review or evaluation of your schema, or is that something that only humans are capable of doing? So somebody came to us and said, hey, I heard you on the podcast and I know schema is super important.
Yeah.
Could you take a quick look at my website? Would we do that as meaning manually, or are there tools that automate the kind of assessment of schema?
I feel like I do a pretty good job at that.
You do. I'm like, yes and yes to both.
So it's a combination then.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can
Just
find it
because
on
you
the
have the
back
tool
end,
doesn't
Yeah.
mean that
you can
you're
scan it. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different ways to write it and stack it, but I think there are certain things that just human eyeballs are sometimes the best to look at, and then sort of taking and breaking it down. So,
So going a little bit further with just this content thread, is it too early for us to offer up some benchmarks, some general, and I'm speaking in volume now, best practice, like, hey, for a lease up, you should have, 300 pages of content. Like 20 pages isn't going to cut it. And I know how nuanced to a degree, so it's kind of contradictory, but that question is or could be. But I feel like it's fair to say that up to this a few years ago, I won't say up to today, many multifamily sites look the same and seem to have more or less the same amount of content, just not going that deep. And I have my own theories on why that is, but we won't take a detour there. So now that content's more important than ever and is, you could say, more affordable than ever to produce, and how nuanced it's become in the way that it's searched, any guidance or thoughts on what good looks like when it comes to the amount of content? Or would you say can't even answer that without knowing the details? But I'm just thinking directionally, because people listening to this might be like, do I have enough content? What does good look like?
yeah, I think with many things, it is quality over quantity, because you really want to make sure that you are updating your content before you're just kind of adding content over and over again. Because this was, again, like an old traditional SEO method, was just write a blog a week and center it around one keyword and just write a bunch of content and hope that you rank for it, and then next week do something else and find another one. When you actually have an opportunity to take this content that you have and make it more useful. So I always struggled with, because I get that question a lot, like how long, what's the optimal length for a piece of content? What's the optimal amount of content on your website? And really, it just needs to be, you want to make sure that the content that you have is good and reworked and up to date. Like, for example, if you've got, an apartment moving guide from 2022, that's not doing you any good on your website. So you would want to go back and update that, because that could very well rank for you again. So it's really more about having somebody go in and look at your existing content and give you a plan, like, hey, these are the things that I feel like we could maybe take these two and put them together, and this could be a lot stronger of a piece, or this piece is way too long. We do not need, 500 words on a studio apartment, like what kind of plants to put in your studio apartment or something, just random. But it's more about how can you take what you have, if you have a lot of it, and then tweak it and make it more robust for Google and for the crawlers. And at the same time, if you don't have any, and if your website is kind of stuck in this template where, you can only fit 100 words on each page, how can you supplement that without spamming the page and making it too long by adding good blogs that are about, should you get a studio or a one-bedroom apartment? Things like that are both useful and then also have those keywords that people are searching for.
Yeah, I think market is important too. So are you in a really competitive market? You're probably going to need more content. Your competitor might have more content, and then you want more content than your competitor. But also you need to be able to talk about things too. You can't just put out content like Rachel said, just because you have to. You need to put out mindful content. So you want to talk about all the important things that people are going to want to know about. So and we don't see a lot of content. So
well, that's what I was going to ask, and no judgment by any stretch on our clients or anybody else that we intersect with, but I imagine that the majority of these websites are under served on content. and but to what degree, no clue. So would you say that most of these contents are probably most of these websites are about 20% of where they could be, should be, as you think even 12 months out, relative to just amount of, I'll say, quality and quantity, or are they further along than that? So I know this is totally directional, but I'm just wondering, as you know, you're spending time with these websites, you're thinking, man, you need to 8x or 7x the amount of content you have on this site, or it's like, oh, the gap's not actually that big.
Now, it's been a little while since I worked on my own clients, but I have seen a big lack of content. So I would say even less than 20%. I would say there's a bigger need for content.
Huge delta is what you're saying.
Big,
Yeah, especially for the brand new websites, for the brand new communities, when you get a templated website. And I completely understand if you get just a website out of the box, like you have a lot going on right now when you are building an apartment complex and trying to fill it with people. So getting this templated website that hooks up to your ILS is a great idea. It's a great move to get you up there and quickly. But if you stick with the templated content that comes with it, or you don't really go in and write intentional content, you know, you can't expect to really perform. And it really has to have meaning to it that I think we can do the research. Basically, you can write whatever you want and put it out there, but we can do the research and be like, I know that you want to emphasize this term, but I can tell you that, 1.2 thousand people search for this specific term. So we should just make sure that we're incorporating that into your content. And it doesn't have to be jargony or really technical or just keyword, but, it should have intention behind it. So
we could be the compass, for them.
Exactly.
So, what about if I'm hearing both of you, but Tammy, if they're 10% of where they really could and maybe should be as it relates to amount of content, that would be overwhelming to hear. I could imagine, where it's like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? And then Rachel's like, come talk to me. I'm your compass. I'll tell you where. I'd still be like, how much is this going to cost? How long is this going to take? And what would you say to them? Like, so this, I'm now going to move us a little bit more into content production and how we're using AI and how Google, I don't know if I should loop ChatGPT into that, but is, I don't want to say rewarding or punishing, but, that's something else that I know has come up is, AI generated content. Does that frowned upon, because it seems like if you're telling me, wow, I'm 90% of the way to get there, I'm not hiring a copywriter, not these days. That's crazy. I'll just use ChatGPT. I'll ask a bunch of questions and then I'll copy and paste and drop it in there. Not probably hitting your total intentional mark, but maybe the right concept at least is like, no, you don't need to hire a stable of copywriters to fill out that 90%. You should be using tools. What would you say and how to use these new tools so that they can get there faster, but not in a way that they would be punished, I'll say, by Google?
Yeah. Oh, yes, and to that. So yes, the tools definitely help. And you need to have the human element too. You can't forget about the human touch. So you need to make fact check. You need to make sure, verify that it's using the right information. I remember creating a location page and it said the best restaurant is this restaurant. And I'm like, oh, that all sounds good. It was in a list of other restaurants, really good. Went back to look at these restaurants and that one was 5 or 6 states away, like 300 miles away. And I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, that doesn't fit in this list. That's terrible.
I've seen content where they said that the top floor penthouse had an attached garage.
Oh, man.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have
quasi
to
hallucination there, right?
Exactly.
You have to fact check, you have to verify, and you want the human touch. You want to read it and make sure it doesn't sound like a machine is talking to you. You want to make sure that the human input is there. It's like, I did look at this. I'm going to add in some actual touches that make it sound like, yes, I've been there. I understand this. You're going to understand it too when you read it.
And that's the thing, is it is very confident and it's very sure of itself. And there have been studies done showing where, like, if you ask it one question and then ask it like a follow-up, like, oh, rewrite this paragraph, it kind of degrades a bit in the quality. So really, it can't really replace the need for human content. It's a really great tool for, I say, breaking writer's block or, kind of getting you sort of an outline or helping you structure how you're going to do it. But at the end of the day, you really can't trust something because it's just trying to guess. It's always guessing what is the next thing that comes after this sentence. And because that's all it's meant to do, it has no conscience. It's not trying to lie. It's just like after this word, it's this word and this. So it will kind of confidently tell you the wrong thing. And unless you are there to check it, then it's just going to put out garbage. And again, in a podcast that I listened to recently, one of the guys on there was just saying, he was like, I saw like everyone was kind of worried about AI content taking over the internet. And yes, there is a lot of it, but it's never going to fully replace it because we've already kind of seen what happens when a ton of garbage content hits a bunch of websites and what Google does about it. Because in 2007, the Panda update happened, like when it was just a ton of horrible content, like hidden keywords, white and white text, and Google found it. And they were like, this means nothing. This is garbage content. And a bunch of websites just got completely just like to the last page of Google, to the bowels of the internet, you know?
The bowels of the internet. I love it. So, but we don't have any conclusive, I guess, either research or understanding on whether there's a penalty. I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but I'm just going to keep going with it, for AI generated content. So in the example, hey, it's okay to go to ChatGPT and then have human supervision to make sure it doesn't say anything weird like the attached garage to the penthouse. But when you drop that in and post it, you have nothing to worry about, at least from what we've seen, because there's other verticals, and education's one of the ones that's trending right now, where they're actually building software deliberately, and this is more understandable, to know whether students are in fact using, these types of tools to write essays and papers and things like that. But that's not like mainstream something that anybody needs to worry about with like Google. And if you're marketing an apartment, it's like, go ahead, use ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, to produce this, and just make sure you got human eyeballs on it and you're good to go.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning Claude. I like Claude, especially for writing. It does a much better job at getting content out. But yeah, I think
Claude fan here. All right, Tammy.
Claude. No, that is really good. And you brought up a question that I wanted to hit on, and now it just completely left my brain. So I'll come back to that.
Never has happened to me on this podcast. I'm sure David would attest to that. So I think I asked you this, Tammy, and believe you said net favorable, but I was curious. One of the reasons we all know that more money hasn't been spent, or time and money investment on SEO in this industry, is it feels like you're I'm trying to. Here I was telling you, go ahead and curse and not worry. I'll just say it, peeing into the wind. This is not proud of that. And now hopefully my daughters don't listen to this. But when it comes to trying to rank in multifamily for a property, it's like, it's a joke, like the ILSs just own all that real estate. I can put all the content I want. I'm never going to show up. How much has this changed things, where it's like, with the advent of both on the user side, the journey, as well as now the tools to create far more content in all sorts of different formats with more context, the game has changed significantly.
Yeah, hugely.
And now you actually have a chance to start seeing organic leads instead of, paid, and maybe organic gets a few, like on some really long tail searches, like on page 4, 5, 6. So
it's encouraging, because we've definitely seen the AIs will be ahead of the ILSs. They're on top of the maps. Even maps used to be like the top of page 1, and now it's AI. It'll be the top thing that you see. You can dive into that. You can go down to those blue links. But if you can get into the AI results, the AIOs, the AI overviews, then golden. You're golden people.
And those AI overviews, to get more specific, if I'm searching for 2-bedroom, 2-bath, with pets, I'm putting in basically my filters, but I'm also saying I want a hip vibe, a place that I can go out to eat, blah blah blah. So I'm trying to paint the picture. And as you said, the generative search, it's already trying to like solve and give me like, here's the question you're really trying to ask, and then I hit search and the AI overview shows up. Is that stitching together a bunch of, let's say, property website content with ILS content? Meaning it's not it's not linear. It's not one source, correct?
Correct.
So it's melding that.
Yeah, it's grabbing
Fair?
from a lot of different places, and it will cite
Or not fair,
where
I
it's
meant
coming from.
accurate.
Yeah.
So it will cite, and that's where you see those
That's where you
links
get your link,
underneath.
yeah.
And is that then the opportunity? I'm just trying to really like dig in on this opportunity
Yeah.
that wasn't there before. And so just talk a little bit further into that. But it's like, this is why you actually have a shot now at getting more organic traffic, because it won't just pick a listing from Zillow. Or a listing from apartments.com.
Exactly.
It's going to be blending this stuff, and you'll be one of those 4 or 5 links.
Zillow is actually helping out in this situation because, we've been telling clients for a long time, like if you want apartments in Denver, it is impossible to beat Zillow and apartments.com and Redfin. And they're juggernauts. They're huge, and they kind of dominate that. And we can be really, really good at trying to go for these high volume, very basic keywords, and we can optimize our brains out, and we still won't be able to beat them. But now, because, the AI overview section is at the top, it's actually using, like it says, oh, okay, well, this is the website. And then according to apartments.com, it has like the bedrooms that you're looking for. And according to the website, it's got this pool that you're looking for. And it pulls everything together to give you more than just keyword, website, and that's your measure of success. Like if you're not on top, then you're not showing up at all. And that's kind of been classic Google. And it's been really hard because that's a very natural way to kind of measure success when it has never really painted a full picture. But we always tell people not to Google themselves because there's so much more nuance. And now the nuance is kind of happening right in front of your eyes. And it's like you can now sort of see how, now that we're having this new experience where like you're getting information from so many different places, that it is kind of pulling away from just going to apartments.com and clicking on apartments in Denver and then having to scroll and go through, which was what made it so tempting. Was it used to just be, here's this selection of information you're looking for, here's all the apartments in Denver. And now you can get so granular that you can just ask Google for everything that you want in an apartment, and it's going to give you an even more specific list of things, and that's where you want to be showing up. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Tempting / simple, but very limited, meaning what you were describing versus what the opportunity is now.
And then algorithm that the AI, or at least what ChatGPT uses, is the fast search, and it's not the links, like the backlinks usually are propping up a lot of what shows up in the SERPs. So that fast search takes that out. So we actually have a better playing field in AI, at least right now, until they change something. But you have a better chance of showing up there because something like apartments.com, you're never going to have the backlink authority that they have. But
and again,
in AI, you can
further
you can
down
be
the
there.
funnel too.
Yeah,
So they're like already like, this is someone who is looking, who knows what they want. And then if your website shows up for what they want, you're getting that click.
Yeah.
I'm curious what percentage, so 2 questions on the links. So again, just to repeat for those listening, in a standard search now, you're going to get results, AI overview results that are stitching together, an answer from multiple, content providers. And I'm saying that generically, including, websites, but also the ILSs. Is it that we'll typically see 3 to 5 links or up to 10? So just for orientation, how much really is getting, pulled into these answers? And I myself couldn't, I feel like up to 10 links, and sometimes it's just a few. The follow-up is, so it sounds like that's totally like unpredictable at this point. You may see 2 links, you may see 10. It just depends on how much content's out there, I suppose.
It might even depend on the query too.
Okay.
That's the biggest, like, how quickly can I answer this if it only takes like 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Like if it's a simple question that only needs, a couple links where it got its information from, then you'll have 2. But if you ask a really bigger, broader question, it will cite more sources, and it also has the go deeper, right? Option where it may crawl even more. But what I was going to say is, what percentage of those are ILSs, like on most multifamily queries? Like, so while you might feel like, hey, the opportunity's there, when you are seeing these answers, is it just 10 ILSs? I hope it's not. But
I think it is. I don't think that they're ranking nearly as much. Like they might be in the mix somewhere, but
I think they're
That would be the powerful is like, look, on average, when these AI overviews are coming up,
yeah.
more than often, you're only seeing 1 or 2 ILSs.
Yeah.
It does not want to actually pull from just directories because it actually gets richer, better content from your website. And therefore, yeah, I mean, it could be great where it's like, I used to think about share of voice, but it's like share of voice now within these links often is 80% property websites, 20% ILS.
Yeah.
Mind blown, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's your opportunity.
Yeah, it's so like it's so classic SEO too, because again, what it's doing is it wants to have this good content where you can learn more flavor about like what makes this unique, like why is this the best fit, but then also like according to this ILS, which is a trusted source, you know, it's pulling that in, which is kind of similar to a backlink in a way, you know, like according to this trusted source and this trusted source, this is a good choice and here's why with your website content. And it's just they want to have that big diversity because that's going to give a better, more robust answer.
Yeah. So I can't help it since both of you said backlink within the last 2 minutes.
Can't get away from
Can't get away from it, and didn't hear it when we started this off with just the foundational things, what you should still be maintaining, I'll say, as far as the strategy. Very quickly, backlinks trending up, down, neutral, as this new these new opportunities, new way of searching, new way of creating content, and might not feel like the cleanest connection here, but it's something that I know we've talked about in the past, and many digital marketers have heard or think backlink when they think SEO. It's one of those quick associations.
Yeah.
So how important trending up, down, or neutral right now? Backlinks.
I feel down.
I was going to say controversially, I say down. I think the problem with backlinks is that backlinks are so important, but again, like
Humans
people
can manipulate them though.
they're so manipulated now. Like people will have, there's actual like link farms where you can pay someone $50 and get 10,000 backlinks pointing to your website, but they're garbage. You know, their websites.
So that's still going on.
And Google says
Because
they
I
don't
felt
care,
like that
but-
was called black hat SEO.
It's trending down.
have you heard about Black Hat AI? Because that apparently is a thing that's starting. People are trying to figure out how can we game the AI thing. So
It's
It
fascinating.
doesn't
to read
surprise
about.
me.
I'll never do it, but it is so fascinating. It's never worth it, but it's so cool to think how human minds work.
Yeah.
You know, like this is how we trick AI.
Yeah, well, we
But-
may have to come back to that because that
Yeah,
sounds
we'll
like
do
a
another- we'll
that
do
sounds
another
like a
episode.
fun topic.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do to wrap this up, and I think it will help also for listeners if you're at 1.5x speed or just trying to kind of catch the highlights here.
Oh no, I'm going to sound like Minnie Mouse.
I'm a 1.5 speed girl. So
Okay,
it
there you
feels
go.
same. Yeah.
So love to do the. And I forget there's I believe a name for it. If Devik was here, I could ask her. But for the whole start, continue exercise or workshop, what would you say? And let's go up to 3. You don't need to go to 10 because you probably could on a couple of these.
Yeah.
How long
But
do we have?
so for those that are interested right now and looking for, it's not a listicle, but kind of a simple way to think about what they should start doing or paying attention to, what they should maybe stop doing and continue doing in the realm of SEO. What does that look like? So let's start with start. Seems too easy.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like? Hey, if you're listening and you're just trying to get your arms around this is some of the 2 or 3 most important things for you to start doing with your SEO/GEO/AEO/ whatever strategy.
I think the easy answer there is content. So if you have not started content, do that. If you have started content, think about a blog where you can talk about some more niche subjects that are still like part of the neighborhood, part of your community.
Yeah. And to back that up, like in the content sphere, like start asking yourself what questions you can answer for people and then start doing content around that. Like how can you be the answer to these questions? You know, figure out what questions people are asking.
do you get asked when people come in to see your apartments?
And then how can you answer that, even if it's just as simple as starting an FAQ page and then adding to that and adding to your GVP.
So would you say, just a little bit of a piggyback, start talking more to your property manager about some of the questions, listening to call transcripts, you know, just thinking, you know, hey, start focusing more on content, but what's the most efficient way to get some big gains. And sounds like, again, coming back to, it's okay to use ChatGPT and other mechanisms like this, but the best, highest quality content is going to actually be coming from a lot of those renter inquiries, maybe chatbots, again, phone calls. Like that could be a really rich source.
Go right into your Google Business Profile reviews and see what people are telling you.
Yeah,
especially the negative ones. Yeah.
Reviews, totally.
Make good use out of your negative reviews. This is classic SEO advice, but really, when you get a negative review, that is your moment to figure out what people are talking about and then how you can fix it and then make that better. Because the only thing, it's not good having a negative review, but having a 1-star review turn to a 5-star review is a very powerful tool. And people will switch that over if they feel heard and if something gets done.
And if they don't, still how you respond to that, your human response to it can sway other people. Like, oh, they did get a bad review. Somebody said that, parking was terrible or whatever. But then, the response was like, we care. We want to talk more about this in the future. Here's what we plan to do about it. Somebody be like, oh, that means a lot. Like they will listen. If I also have something I want to talk about, they're there to listen, and that makes a difference.
Cool. All right, let's move to continue. So you just said not to walk away from backlinks, but that might not be something that's as high of a priority as it was in the past. What are the things that maybe people were already doing or familiar with that you'd say, absolutely keep doing that, keep focusing on that? So LLM, I'm not trying to tee you up, Tammy, but whether it's offsite or onsite, it's like these pieces, which you did cover up front, is like foundation, are absolutely still critical.
Right.
So just highlight if you can one more time, like what should they continue doing that they're doing now?
Yeah, you need to be still on the internet. You need to be around. So you want to have citations in places that the internet can go out. So you still want to be found. So you need to still have local listings. You still need to have citations out there on authoritative places. You don't want to necessarily have to buy 50,000 of them, but you still need to be around. And Google's going to look and say, how important are you? Are other people mentioning you? And I would also add into that, you want social media. You want your presence out there. Did
That
I
was
just
gonna be
steal
mine.
yours? I'm sorry. I'll let you go.
No, it's good. It's a good tee up. Put me right into it.
Cool.
Yeah, social media, especially. Like if you have a Facebook and you kind of update sometimes, really it's a good time to invest in that now and put a little more work into it, and just really make sure that that is alive and active and breathing. And then as many as you feel you are equipped to do. If it's just you, maybe Facebook is all you can handle. But if you have an Instagram and a TikTok and a social media manager, highly recommend keeping that alive and breathing air into it.
What's Facebook?
Facebook?
I thought it was, is it Meta? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. What about social media? Just a little bit more there. Would you say continue putting effort into TikTok? Continue putting effort into YouTube? I mean, I get it's kind of all the above, but again, these things have and always do trend in this industry where it's like everybody's like, hey, have you got a TikTok page? Are you putting out TikTok? So I don't know if there's anything more specific with social media, if I can lump that into social media / video platforms,
so, for sure.
where you'd say really continue building out or focusing on TikTok. It's it's not going away. It's generating results. Or would you say not as much? You really should continue focusing on Meta, or you should continue. So just trying to see if there's anything more specific that you would say.
To tie into your target demographic, I would say. Do you have a younger demographic? Like TikTok is probably where you want to be. People are searching on that.
Okay.
But if you're, if you're older, maybe, Meta is your thing. Facebook. There's other like.
Isn't that
YouTube.
funny to say?
Yeah, it is.
But it's so true.
It's always going to be Facebook to my old.
Me too.
Yeah.
I was
If you're
always Facebook.
in senior living, it's Meta.
MySpace.
Right.
And I still love
Blast from the
YouTube
past.
because you can optimize the heck out of YouTube. So I don't think you want to ignore it. It's still a search engine in and of itself.
That's very true.
No doubt.
Especially with like shorts, which are more similar
shorts
to
are pretty fun.
like TikToks. But I think that'd be a great topic for the organic social team.
Yes.
No doubt.
Tatiana, yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap up with stop.
Okay.
So, what are you hearing, seeing, or do you feel like is it doesn't have to be that it's trending, but just some things that people can probably let go of or stop doing as it relates to their SEO?
You finally get to stop obsessing over the first position keyword.
Ah,
And that's
yes.
really exciting. And the first page keywords, they're still important.
Love it.
But now it's a different kind of metric where it's not the be all end all. You get to release that, and then you get to build a better picture with Google searches that are more likely to convert rather than just apartments Denver and no conversion. I love it.
Yeah, it's such a junky keyword.
It
It
is.
tells you nothing.
I know it has a lot of volume, but you can I could be in San Francisco. I can type in apartments in Denver just to see what comes up. And then once I scroll past all the ILSs and apartments.com and then I go see the first result, it doesn't mean anything. But if I am in San Francisco and I'm searching for 2-bedroom apartment, 1,200 square feet with a rooftop pool and a dog park that's close to walking distance to Union Station, I'm probably moving to Denver, and I probably want to move into whatever apartment comes up.
Yeah.
Do you have a stop, Tammy?
I do, and this might be a little controversial, but I know
Love it.
in the
Yeah.
past, even up until today, I shouldn't say in the past, but getting the smallest SEO package because you want to be budget conscious, that is going to hurt you in the age of AI, I feel, because you should be getting that package if you are humming along, if you have everything tidied up, everything is running really well. You don't need much more, but you still need something. You need your presence there. Keep humming at that low level, but you're going to need content. If you need content, you need a bigger package. You need more optimizations to get your site working right and fixed and not junky like we talked about at the very beginning. So my controversial take is that stop buying the cheapest SEO package just to get by. Like, you need the work. Let's do the work for you.
Well,
Instant results.
thought I
Yeah.
was gonna wrap up with start, stop, continue, but you just forced it out of me.
Okay,
So I
great.
have to ask. I have to ask this question: how would you recommend somebody ROI this type of work? So inevitably, since you mentioned don't go for the small budget and just check a box, it's like do the work. Well, how am I going to then communicate the value, Tammy or Rachel, to this owner or to this operator? Because they're going to ask. I'm used to spending $200 a month. Now you're asking me to spend, I'm just going to say it, $2,000
Right.
a month. How
How
am
do
I
I know that
supposed
that
to
worked?
articulate the value? Yeah, lay it on me.
That's good. So hopefully in the future, we have a new metric that we're looking at and called our visibility score. So we want to know, are you showing up in, check that out.
That was worth it. I had to do it. Yeah. Okay.
Really cool. I got nervous there for a minute. I was like, something's breaking. No, that was really neat. So yes, visibility score. So we want to know impressions. How are you doing there? Conversions. How are you doing there? GBP. Are you doing really good in your GBPs? Are we doing things that can make that stuff move around a little bit? And if the answer is yes, that's great. We can keep going along. If the answer is no, let's dive in. Let's find out where you're not doing so well, and let's get you up there.
Yeah.
So visibility score.
And just to put a finer point, like what does visibility drive? Leads.
Yes.
Leads, conversions.
Conversions, yep. The visibility
Yep.
plus conversions equals what we want to
It
get
works.
for you.
Yeah.
It's a return on ad spend.
Yeah.
It's like that's what for so many years has just been missing. Not just in this industry, but I think a lot of people when they think SEO, they don't think lead gen. It's like, what do you think all the work is for?
Right. It's got to be for
And so
something.
your money works smarter, not harder.
Yep.
You can convert better if you do this right, and you need to be seen.
Yes.
And so I just think we may be on the cusp, is not maybe on the at the starting point of a dramatic shift in how money is spent
Yeah.
in this industry. And it's not with any, I guess, vested interests. At least not for Digible.
Right.
Truly, it's like whatever's best for the client. But is it best for you to keep putting money into those paid channels? Or with all these changes you guys just covered, you might want to start spending more money into your SEO strategy.
Yeah.
Rachel, were you going to say something?
And really, it's something that SEO has always taken a long time to set up, to build authority, to make sure that Google can trust that you are who you say you are. But now, for the first time in a really long time, you have an opportunity to show up instantly. Even with, like, if you've got really good content, if you've got a lot of social media backing up that you say who you are and someone looks for something very specific, you have a chance to show up right away. And that is pretty unprecedented. And it's a really exciting time.
I was going to say, it's exciting.
It's really exciting. And
We're all getting chills.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So there you have it, and I think you can tell there's a lot more on SEO and this topic at Digible. So reach out, give us a call, go on our website. Tons of awesome blogs, and there'll be more podcasts to come. But I want to thank again Tammy and Rachel for going deep with me on Riffing with Reed, and stay tuned for the next episode.
I'll see you in your SEO notes. Bye.
Yes.
There you go. Thanks all.